Welcome everybody. It's 7:29 on the clock. 7 is the Chariot, 29 is the Three of Wands, being present in the moment, perhaps to your gifts or perhaps presenting a gift. It also could be 72 and 9, 72 being the Four of Pentacles and being practical and moderate, and the 9 of the Hermit as it just turned 7:30, which is the union energy. I'm going to give you a little bit of my Om tuner today. So take a deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings out to you guys. Take one more deep breath. Thank you so much for being here with me. I have a Metatron read. It was a big one. There's a lot of Mary Magdalene messages in this message. It was very intense. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to roll the die for you too. I'm going to show you the picture that's on the table. Okay, so this is the Metatron read. And let's see what the dice have to say for you guys. For the twins, today is February 12th, 2022. For the twin flames, we have the number 11, very much in the read today about alignment. It's also justice, which is truth and balance. We also have Libra, which is very much that 11 of justice. So there's a lot of Libra energy here. And then the moon, which is also Cancer energies. Okay, so a lot of balancing here today, as I just grounded you with my Om sound. And then the moon, which can represent the nighttime as well, and Cancer, but also the energies of Mary Magdalene coming up is what I'm getting right now. And also I've been getting the purple moon, right, which is the 0 point. It's that energy of where the light meets dark. It becomes that purple energy, that 0 point. So today being the 12th, the 12 is the hanging man, so seeing new perspectives, being wise, hanging out. And the day adds up to 20, which is judgment, and 20 was a big number in yesterday's read, and it did come up again today. 20 is judgment, with the 0 backing up the 2 of the feminine energy, the high priestess, the being able to see both sides of the situation and being in duality as well. And it's also the energy of judgment, which can just be making a decision, but it's about not projecting your decisions on other people and not being judgmental in a negative way of yourself. But the 20 has been also coming up with the icosahedron, which came up a little bit today, not much. But again, it was kind of referencing the energy that came up around it yesterday, which is the 20-faced triangular crystal. And you can look that up if you want to see a picture of it. And let's see. Okay, so I cut the deck at 9:58, which is the Hermit and the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords for me it's of someone resting, meditating, praying. It can be something lay to rest, but for me it's mostly about the twin flame connection in this kind of read, the 5D connection that we have. And then the Hermit, of course, going within to do that. So the underlying energy from the read came up. The bottom of the deck card was blue, which is the Mother Madonna energy, the 29, which is the time we started the video. So it was very much about the mother. And Mary Magdalene, like I said, comes up. And you'll see why it's important about the mother when I get to there. The colors that came up in the reading today were lilac, blue, yellow, pink, white, silver, gold, orange. So a lot of oranges. The only colors that didn't come up really were red and green, which is Christmas. And that'll come into play in the read as well. And they were kind of grouped into orange and yellow, right? So the lower chakra system. Red wasn't being represented today, just the sacral chakra and the solar plexus. And then the blue to lilac to white, silver, gold, pink, which is all the upper chakra energy. So very intensely upper chakra today. Without, though, the heart and without the root. So let's see how that plays here. Elements, we had fire and water in the read today. So I started the translation at 10:09 this morning. 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, 9 is the Hermit again. And the energy of the fall to winter. And just so you see where I start, the underlying, it'd be nice if I could clear the picture for you too. All right, so the underlying energy, the bottom of the deck is this card, because these are two underneath that in the underlying energies, okay? And that's the Madonna energy. I start here and go across all the way down, and then this is the summary, and then these cards are usually random energy, depending on where I get guided to stop pulling cards in the deck. Sometimes it'll be 3, making it a 21 card read. Sometimes it'll be 4, and occasionally it'll be 5. I rarely do that. But these were definitely extra cards that wanted to come out today as well. I don't usually like pulling that many cards, but it was coming out today, so I pulled them. So here is the message here. From fall to winter, and then it turned 10:10, which is 2 Wheel of Fortunes, right? All the energy going forward, with ice castles in the sky, the road to perdition, the blast off, the housing for the rocket, most grandiose, the nightmare before Christmas in July, which then represents the red and green energies that are missing, because that's not till July, and the good night, Mary before Christ Mass in the Jew lie, again referencing Jesus as the Jew and the lie around Jesus. So then Miss Mary Mac came up again. And again, there's a lot about Mary. My mother was coming in as well. She was Mary Grace, and she loves John Denver, and John Denver was coming up today as well. So it's definitely my mom. So we had Miss Mary Mac, and I already told you that doing the movements of Miss Mary Mac helps you balance and cross your energies from left to right, right to left. So if you want to try that out, you can, to see if it helps you. But it was also coming up as another message. So again, from fall to winter, with ice castles in the sky, the road to perdition at blastoff, with the housing for the rocket that's most grandiose. You know how you normally see the blastoff of the rocket has that big stand it's on, but here it's even more grandiose than that. As the nightmare before Christmas in July, which then will be red and green, the good night of Mary before the Christ Mass comes in the July of July. Miss Mary Mac, all dressed in black, and here comes up the Black Madonna. And black comes up as a lot of people thinking she was more dark-skinned than actually white, and also that there was hidden information about the actual Mary Magdalene, the Black Madonna, which is how people in the south of France consider Mary Magdalene as the Madonna, the mother. The death at a funeral, and the silver buttons down her back, asking Mother Mary for 50 cents, which 50 is the 10 of Cups, emotional fulfillment of the family, and also cents, which is your senses. So 50 cents, asking her mother Mary for 50 cents, right, to watch the elephants jump over the fence. So here's that emotional fulfillment of the family and wanting to fill up their senses, like a night in the forest, like John Denver. This is a John Denver song. Like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, and like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Come, let me love you, let me give my life to you. Let me drown in your laughter, and let me die in your arms, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. Come, let me love you, come love me again. To see the elephants jump over the fence and come to the other side. They jump so high, 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 they reach the sky, 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 or Aquarius, in the age of Aquarius, and never came back until the 4th of July. And we always used to say, you lie, right, when they'd say 4th of July. So there's 3 ways July is coming up here, as the month July, as the Jew lie, as well as the jewel and the Y, which is the 0 point at the Y in the road, where all roads lead home. And 4 again was coming up as, if you break down the 4, it's the L of the right angle and the 1 of the unity consciousness. The 4th of July being the right angle of unity of the Jew lie. The birth of the U.S., which is also in July, July 4th, and us. Off planet until survival of the Jew lie, which will never happen, right? It won't be maintained anymore. Or Mary's Mass in July, whereas Christmas is in December. And again, the 7-2 by 2 comes up here for July. And the 144 in the 3D 44 lap dance going into the 5D do-si-do of the stand-up dance. From the 144 that collapses then in the 5D to the 18 that then collapses to the 9, the all-encompassing compassion and purification and simplicity. Where July is the jewel with the Y in the road, the 0 point where all roads lead home. And Morocco is coming up again, and I've been getting a Garden of Eden type energy from Morocco a lot. They keep guiding me back to Morocco again, and again the Atlas Mountains are there. And then the blue apples, which haven't come up in a long time in my reads, but they came up a couple of years ago, and here they were coming up again. So where all reeds lead home at the 0 point, Morocco and the Atlas Mountains were coming up. And remember, I tell you, that's where the olive trees grow in the desert where they shouldn't grow, and then that makes the ingredient in the olive oil even more intensely nutritious for us. So where those olive trees that can survive anything grow, the blue apples survive almost anything. And then I was guided to bibliothecappleiades.net, which I've been to before many times in speaking to you guys. So it's biblio, so bibliothecappleiades.net. So if you want to read more about the south of France and all of the stuff about Mary Magdalene and Jesus and coming to France, and the Cathars and all that kind of stuff, it's very good information. Where the blue apples survive almost anything. So from Bibliothèque, what came up was the last line of mysterious parchment that appeared at Rennes at the turn of the 20th century. Okay, and I actually went on the Mary Magdalene retreat with Mercedes Kirkleback back in 2017. So this is what they're talking about, Rennes-le-Château and Rennes-les-Bains, which is where I stayed. The apple is also a symbol here, according to Bibliothèque and that website, a symbol of the science of immortality and the secrets of Jesus, the means to open the gateway to the land of Amor, A-M-O-R, which you notice is the reverse of Roma. The blue apples symbolize these secrets. So from the section of Amor on the website at 1033 to 34, 33 being the Christ vibration, and then 34 of the energetic exchange and the arrows of love, of Rennes-le-Château, and the restaurant Les Pommes Bleues, which means the beauty of La Val d'Eu, the Valley of God. The Neo-Gothic, so this is the author in the website talking about the south of France. The Neo-Gothic tower that looks almost evil, they describe it as, like a bullet that was stopped dead in its tracks before penetrating its target. So it's literally a castle type thing where the one side, it looks like a rocket almost hitting the ground. It is called Tower Magdala, La Tour Magdala, named after Magdala, the hometown of Mary Magdalene. Completed in 1905 by Berenger Saunier from the movie. Then down the path to the Holy of Holies, the Church of Mary Magdalene. The ancient name for this place was the Temple of Isis, the Egyptian goddess of the elements, and the level mountain top across the valley, the Temple of Osiris, which was her mate. So the picture there was of Isis with wings, and it was very interesting because I only got one position to do with my yoga cards this morning, because I got a couple cards for breathing techniques, but I only got one position to do. And the position I was called to do was the position this picture was in, that Isis was sitting in within her wings. She was in the position of the yoga stretch this AM, the reclining spinal twist. And there was a day in 1891, making repairs in the decaying church altar, a dirt-poor Catholic priest, which was Berenger Saunier, allegedly discovered a cache of ancient parchments concealed in the wooden tubes. 2 from 1244 and another from 1644. The other 2 composed in 1780s by the Abbé Antoine Bijou or Saulnier's predecessor as the parish priest of Rennes-le-Château. January 1781, and then the eve, which is funny because then Adam and Eve are coming up, but it's also my name, Evelyn. The eve of the French Revolution with Lady Hautpoul, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correct, she died. That was January 17, 1781. The owner was dying with no sons to bequeath her secret to from Saulnier. So she did so with Abbé Antoine Bijou. Bijou concealed all 4 documents and possibly a 5th in a hollow the altar that they talked about, the pillar inside the Church of Mary Magdalene. He devised a cipher inscribed on the tombstone of Lady Hautpoul and stone slab placed on her grave with the secret. Dalle des Chevaliers, the stone slab in front of the altar turned face down. The knight's gravestone depicts 2 scenes, both with an arch or a gateway. The first scene is a knight or a horse sounding a horn or tone while the horse drinks from the trough. The second picture was the same knight but with a staff in their hand and a child, and did the knight go through the arch and return with the child in tow. This scene is duplicated on 12th century seal of the Knights Templar as well. With discovery of secrets and scrolls, Saulnier rags to nouveau riche because of all of this. And then it goes into the lineage of Jesus, the Merovingians, thought to be a bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And they describe it as half man, half fish. And some claim that the parchments are not actually ancient, but the work of the Priory of Zion, who founded the Knights Templar. There was just the different parchments. One was called Zion parchment, and another one they called Blue Apples parchment. So the Zion parchment had sacred geometry and codes, and the Blue Apples parchment about dinner in Bethany with Lazarus and Mary Magdalene. The chessboard decipher with scenes of the knight moves in the L shapes. And what was I talking about yesterday and the day before? The L with the right angle. And here now it comes up in a website. I knew nothing about the L being there, right? So the L was very significant here, and it's literally pointing out the shape of the right angle. The author was describing it like directing you to Never Never Land at 11:10. 2 squares to the right and straight until morning, which could represent the twins. Okay. So, in this website also, they list what was written on the parchment papers, okay? In their best translation, I don't have the French actual writings, but their translation into English. And so on the Blue Apples parchment was shepherdess. No temptation to which Poussin and Tenier keep the key piece number 681 with the cross, with the cross and this horse of God, I complete, and that could be one because it looks like it's not significantly one or I, it could be either one. I complete or destroy this demon guardian at midday, M-I-D-D-A-Y, one word, and then Blue Apples was the code there. So I was deciphering it here for you guys, and some very interesting information came up. So cool how this stuff came up. And by the way, when I put down this English translation of the parchment for the Blue Apples, it was 11:11 a.m. So the first thing I did was look up 681 in the Gematria. And what do you think the first listing in Gematria is for 681? It's the Father Ray. And I looked that up after I had already deciphered what it meant, and my deciphering came up as praising the Mass Hypnotic Father. And then the first entry for 681 was the Father Ray. So I knew I was on the right track. So I broke down I was getting a couple words to reverse them, just like Roma is the amor. So they were showing you a clue that they reverse the words sometimes, right, for some of the clues. So I reversed blue apples, and this is what I got. So the blue is EULB, and EUL is very much about the eulogy type words with the B on the end, or EU with LB, which you know is an abbreviation for pound, but it also is, pound refers to Mass, and we've been talking a lot about Mass already with Christmas, and Christmas in July is Merry Mass. And let's see what else was coming up there. So the LB, besides pound, also means binary logarithm to the base of 2. It also means cricket. It's a play, I think, in cricket, the game. But again, the binary, which has to do with the 2 planets or the twins, and the logarithm to the base of 2, and then Laga came up as well as logos as well, and the base of 2, again, the twins. Let's see here. And EU, of course, has many definitions. Egg, one, I, bravo, well done. Again, the praise comes up of eulogy. The U of the lamb, the wood, the you, the ego, the self, and anvil, which is a incus bone in the middle ear, but it's also a stone in which to break things on, like when I hit the tuner to the crystal. Same type of thing. So when I drew the picture, I didn't know what that was, the anvil, so I drew a picture of it, and it was very similar to a drawing I had transcribed from what Elena Denon described as a ship or a device she saw with Thor Hahn when they were talking about how you steer a ship, right, with your energy. So I drew a picture of that as well. So the number 681, the first one was Father Ray, but the second one was Ray of Light, so very much the same kind of energy. But the third also is the Nibiru and the Anunnaki, as well as the epic birthday and Arizona, which I just came home from. And what else came up? There was a couple more I think I have on the next page, but I'll let you know when I get to them. The numbers next to epic birthday were also 720, so there's that 72 again, and 120 as well, which is the 12, and today's the 12th. And by the way, it's Lincoln's birthday today as well, which came up in the read. The search for form. Oh, when I first looked up 681, there was a search form humanitarian proposal 681, which was an Australian government form. So Australia was also coming up here. And when I broke down apples in reverse, which is Selpa, which brings up the father, the pa, Selp came up as a couple different words, but PPA means nose, which can represent the nose that you smell with, but also the word know, but also the knowledge of knowing. So there's 3 different translations you can use there. And the ear came up yesterday too, so we're getting like the ear, nose, and throat type of energy here. So secrets to open the gateway to the land of Amor. Blue apples were the secrets. Seems to be in a language code of the Cathars. And again, this is still from the website. The Holy Grail shown as the vessel with a cluster of grapes or blue apples on top, because blue apples also reference grapes. Or the Holy Grail, also known as the Stone of God, or the Philosopher's Stone of Immortality. A cord that links men and God. The key of life and the key stone or tone or the Holy Grail are the same as the blue apples or the blue stones of Ren. Saunier had an admirer, Emma Calve, who got involved with him. She was in an organization called the Rose Cross of the Temple and the Grail in Paris. She was considered the high priestess of esoteric Parisian occult society. The Catholic Church pooh-poohed Saunier to trivialize the secrets that he was supposed to hold. And then in Egypt, they brought up information about, again, the Black Madonna, and them referring to black as hidden, right? Because all that is black or evil is just not able to be seen, right? The unknown is what fear is. So the Black Madonna, or Isis cults, came up here. In France, the Madonna is not Mother Mary, but Mary Magdalene, the bearer of Jesus' children, the Holy Grail. And Madonna comes from the way they were transcribing it. Here's the M, which is mem, which is water, and the Adon, A-D-O-N, which is Lord from Egypt, Atan, the sun disk channeled by the key of life. Madonna can be M-Atona or M of Atan, the waters or the key of life. If the key of life equals the Grail and the blue apples, then it equals the blue apples as well. The river Salles runs through Rennes-les-Bains, where the place that I stayed in the south of France, the twin village of Rennes-le-Château, and a local village called Luxor-Aude, which sounded like Luxor, Egypt, which they were connecting the two, Paris and Egypt, with Elizabeth van Buren, who is a Rennes resident and also an author, revealed that Rennes is Egypt. And then they quoted Revelations 11:8, which part of it said, Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Egypt means black land, land of the moon, land of alchemy, land of transmutation. The original name was Ta Mari, Mother Love, the Cathars of Languedoc, with the secret gospel of Jesus called the Gospel of Love. They called the land of immortals Amor, which they note is the reversal of Roma, and that Jesus came from there. He had come to lead his sheep out of the earth, or out of Roma, to Amor. There was a book here they described of the foundation of the Church of Love and the Grail, the book by Jesus that was given to John the Divine and revealed when the Cathars were tortured, because the Cathars were, I believe, burned in the Cathars' castle because it was destroyed where I was. I just can't remember exactly what happened. Okay. So its contents transform, so this magic, right, of the Grail, its contents transform ordinary men into supermen, or Homo sapiens into Homo Christos, is the way they describe it. Once Christ, or the Christ light, is ignited, or the Amor of love, a new flood would submerge all souls, and never again would there be bloodshed on earth. The German Otto Rahn described as transforming into beings, or flowers broken into flowers, of light and becoming immortal inhabitants of Amor. The Buddhists call this the Pure Land. The Christians and Jews the Promised Land. The Cathars also concerned with transmutation of matter and alchemy, which is very interesting because my first marriage he was actually present. He was from Italy. He was actually present at a materialization, which most of us have never been privy to before. And the only reason he was there was because he knew someone who was being invited there, and it was only heads of states and churches, attending this thing. So it was very private and hush-hush. But he ended up going because one of the men needed a driver to go to Rome. And at this materialization, they made sure there was nothing around his arms. He was wired so that they could, record things. And the way it was described to me from my ex was that a light came out from the hand, and when he opened the hand, there was a rabbit's head there. And no one knew that he was supposed to be at this thing. And the man who materialized the rabbit's head, it was metal with glass blue eyes. That man who materialized the rabbit's head said that it was for my ex, but he didn't even know he was supposed to be there. So anyway, it was a very intense information. Of course, I learned this, almost 40 years ago. So this is a long time ago. So it's interesting that I'm reading this to you because I literally have knowledge of this kind of thing. So the Cathars were concerned with transmutation of matter and alchemy. And while Einstein toiled at his day job in Swiss patent office, discovering the theory of relativity, and Tesla attempted to build a Stargate, and Edison was trying to construct a machine for communicating with the dead, and Tesla's former assistant was intercepting messages from Mars, or so he thought. Here Saunier built the Tower Magdalene, or Magdala, the house Villa Bethania, a semicircle belvedere hugging the side of a cliff, with a second tower at the end of it, crowned with a conservatory and loaded with thousands of books. An orangerie, the word orange and then R-I-E, orangerie, and park and fountains and zoo were there as well. 14 stations of the cross depicted in the church, each shifted from its official meaning. For example, there were Scotsmen in kilts observing the crucifixion, and Virgin Mary with word mission on the pedestal that was broken up into Miss Sion, and is M- is Sion, or is M- is story of Sion. So the author was just questioning, further what this could be. Also, 2 thieves carrying an alive and unconscious Jesus from the tomb at night, which of course wouldn't be in any normal Catholic church. So Saunier placed a demon guard at the front door, a stooped figure with fiery blue eyes, horned and sporting a green robe. In 1996, someone chopped the head off of this and took it. It was recovered and glued back on. The only known devil to be found in a Catholic church anywhere in the world. Is M-ISTERY tradition. In this tradition, horns are considered rays of light, not the devil. Like Moses, there's a depiction of Moses with horns. And why was the green robe? They don't know. The Zion parchment with visible hidden text sprinkled in 8 letters throughout the document. It spells out Rex Mundi, which is interesting too, because I worked with a doctor who owns a company now called Rex. You may be aware of it. Rex Mundi means king of the world. Rex Mundi was the name of the devil of the Cathars, which wasn't the devil at all. The cults can survive. This is the Eric Hoffer quoted this. Cults can survive without belief in God, says Eric Hoffer, but never without belief in the devil. Some feel the Buddhists or the king of the world in paradise energy in the inner earth is the same as the Rex Mundi. And the Rex is also the source of what we use in our prescriptions, the RX. The inscription on the entrance by Saunier was, "Terrible is this place," which then they go into Genesis 28:17 of Jacob's journey, and that this is the home. The quote here from Jacob in 28:17 was, "This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate to heaven." And per the author, Rennes-le-Château is a terrible place, a star gateway to heaven. It's just saying like it's nothing like heaven, like Jacob's ladder, and again referencing the DNA, the place for the soul to ascend to heaven. So again, just describing the Cathars' relationship to Jesus and Mary Magdalene and the gateways and the secrets regarding the blue apples. And then we're at 1153. So I went back to the message again for blue apples. And again, my transcription of this message was praise, mass, hypnotic, father. And mass can reference density as well. So also what was coming up from it was from SELP, is a hypnotic drug, Selperzine, and SELP on, a smart cell phone, but without the phone being on. So in other words, being able to communicate without a cell phone, right, with your abilities. So 681, I went back to that number, which is the father ray in Gematria, or the ray of light, and the epic birthday, which Lincoln's birthday was today, so that was a plug to Lincoln, but also it was Mary Magdalene was talking about today. I don't know if she wanted to be recognized today. Maybe she really likes Lincoln. But epic birthday had the numbers not only 681, but that was the one with 720 and 120, which is today's date as well, and the 72 by 2. And again, referencing 120, because 120 degrees is 1/3 of 360, the full circle, so it's 1/3 of the circle. And So 72 by 2 is the 144, and 12 by 2 is 24, and the 1/3 came up describing the two numbers I just listed as 3 by 24, then equals the 72, which are all the numbers involved with that line of epic birthday here. So Lincoln was the 16th president, so 16 was coming up here of the tower again. We talked about the tower multiple times because we talked about the towers on the Magdalene property, but also that Lincoln was the 16th president, which is the tower. And then also for 144, 1440 is how many minutes there are in a day. So that was coming up as well. And then today's birthday, which is Lincoln. He was born February 12th, 1809. But this was very significant because when I looked up Lincoln, he was in office as president from March 4th, 1861. So 681, 1861, all the same numbers came up in the year that he went into office. And then it was March 4th, which is 3-4 of the Empress and the Emperor, or the feminine and the masculine. And the 3-4-7 is always a piece of the puzzle coming together because the 7 is not of this world. So he was in office from 3-4-1861 to April 15th, 1865, which is tax day again, which came up the other day as well. So going back to the quote on the parchment from the Blue Apples is the shepherdess, which is Mary Magdalene. No temptation to which, and I was getting that as a witch, right? Mary Magdalene with no temptation to witch or use her powers, young chick or game hen or fish, with the stock or puller of the crossbow, which then brings up the centaur or the Sagittarius, keep the key piece 681 or the father ray, and also 681 adds up to the 15, 6-8 adds up to 14 plus 1 is 15, so it's literally bringing up the angel and the devil, with source between, and the lovers dance into unity. With the cross and this horse of God, or Mr. Ed, I compete or destroy this demon guardian, which we just described as Saunier having built in front of the church at midday Blue Apples. So it was clear to me that they're talking about the centaur, as it's very interesting that now the North Node's in Taurus, and we talk about the Taurus and the toroidal field. They both have to do with the Tor and centaur. So Sen also means torch or flame. Also means change, transition, turn, to slough or to tear or burst. So going back to the translations, the Mary Magdalene with no temptation to witch, young chick or fish with stock of ammunition, the keeper of the key piece, the 681, the father ray, the light ray, and then the centaur, which is the poetic torch of the Tor, the Taurus, North Node, and Mr. Ed of the centaur Sagittarius, the extra-dimensional. And then talking about the cross, which if you put cross backwards, it's source. So again, undoing the negative energy of the cross and becoming source instead. Source of the cross and the horse they talk about, the centaur, or when Taurus points north, I compete or destroy this gatekeeper, or the demon at the door of the gate, which when you reverse demon, it becomes nomed, which means named. The guard, right? Because when something's named, it's no longer unknown, so you no longer fear it, right? So the demon becomes undemonized as nomed. The guard at the M-ID day, midday, the M, ID is identity, but also interdimensional day, Mary Magdalene interdimensional day, perhaps. Praise Mass Hypnotic Father, with the exception of Taurus, Mr. Ed extra-dimensional, or ID is now named, right? So it's taking the mystery out of it and then takes the fear out of it, so then it's no longer demonized. So again, bringing up the cross and this horse of God, or the centaur. The Mary Magdalene, no temptation to witch, young chick, game hen, or fish, with the arrows of the centaur, their crossbow, the Sagittarius, or Saggy I always call Mr. Ed, She, the keeper of the key piece of the 681 father ray, light ray, the lover's dance of the angel or angle, as we've been talking about the 90-degree angle of the L, and the devil into unity with source and this horse of God, Mr. Ed, extra-dimensional, centaur, or when Taurus points north. Centaur, the poetic torch of the Taurus. I or one destroy this demon guardian, or named gatekeeper, at M.I.D. Day, Mary Magdalene's birthday, or interdimensional day, a day in Mary Magdalene's name, blue apples, the apples that fell far from the family tree. Praise Mass, hypnotic Father, the weight of Mass, or the egg, the ego, the I, the self, to sell by a nose, or breath, or nose as opposed to yes, and the ear to hear with. So then the apples reverse that begins with an S was also being translated as Sophia, aligned with that right angle. One that is equal and congruent, because that's the capital E, is a line and then 3 lines across, which means equal and congruent, to another one that's equal and congruent in the EE, or the energetic exchange. But when you curve the E's and put them back to back, it becomes the toroidal field at 0 point. The solar plexus again was coming up as the connection of back-to-back energy, the energetic exchange that she knows and praises, the binary logarithm to the base of 2, and then logarithm was being translated into the logos rhythm, the rhythmic burning of the flame to the base of 2. So how do you like that? And by the way, logos also means coral. And I went out, the first time I ever flew, I was 14. My dad took me to a meeting of his with my sister, and it was in the Keys in Florida. And he took us out to a coral reef that was 5 miles off the coast, and I feel like that coral reef is probably a significant location. But logos is also mice, and also the speech, the story, the word, the reason, the logic behind something. So then, of course, what came up, I turned the page and it's 1:22 on the clock, the 22 of the Fool's Journey. And then Mary Magdalene's birthday is feast day is coming up, which is July 22nd, and we already brought up July. And it's also bringing up July 2nd of 2. The 72 by 2 is the 144. And of course, we're in the year of the 2022, the Fool's Journey. So this is Mary Magdalene's year, she's telling me. Bringing up the 4, which is the L1, the right angle, the 90 degrees, and the unity consciousness. The right angle of unity at 90 degrees in a dance of the crazy 8, which makes it 98 degrees, human body temperature. Letting go to release control, shedding the Cather's story to allow Mary Magdalene to stand on her own as Mother and Madonna, sovereign, holding her own, present in the moment with gifts from winter, and my mother passed away last January 10th, to the fall, to the ice castles of this winter of Mary Magdalene in the south of France. And now we're getting more into the read, because that was just the underlying energies of the read. And you see, it's all about the Madonna and the castles in the south of France, right? And as instead of the fall to winter, I was reading that card today as last winter to this fall, right? And the fall of the Cathars and their translation of what actually happened to Mary and Jesus. And then coming back to this winter again, which becomes the ice castle of the south of France and the mother, who is Mary Magdalene. So the first card out was the Earth Mother, awakening collective to abundance and creation and expansion in your life. That you are those flowers or flowers, going with the flow, blossoming come springtime, with the bumblebee, the carpenter bee, busy pollinating the flowers and journeying through the tree of life with the key of life, turning Mercury into gold, or the winged messenger into unity consciousness at 133. Again, the Christ vibration and consciousness. on the road from rust to gold, purifying and balancing act and journey to evolve and birth a new heart, like the Grinch and the Tin Man, reflecting the weeping willows or wills and ows, reaching out to self for self-love, spiritual love and new love, as above, so below. The beacon of light, the 44, the 4 and the 4, which is L1, L1, 2 right angles at 90 degrees, and 2 ones make the 11 of alignment. So it looks like this. It looks like an F lying down and the 11, as the 44 translates to this. It looks like this as well, and the F laying down, waiting for the double E's to meld into one as the Pisces symbol, right? When the E is curved and it's back to back, it literally becomes the Pisces symbol, or the Taurus, the 0 point of the toroidal field. The Pisces and the Taurus 0 point, 2 perspectives and 2 sovereign beings of the 11, 1, 1, back to bring energies together for the beacon to shine on. Atlas and the collective consciousness, or the sea, seeing with your eyes, the ocean of emotion and the Christ unity consciousness, or see Christ in the sea of Mary Magdalene. And of course I'm getting Galilee as well here. And if you put the now I have 2 H's. Where are the 2 H's coming from? Oh, the 144. So the 144, if you mush it together, becomes 3 lines down and 1 line across the middle, which is then the 2 E's back to back. But the rolling stone, don't forget, the E is the 3 and the M and the W. So when it's lying down, it's actually the M and the W back to back. The Christ in the sea of Mary Magdalene in Galilee. The CC of the whispering benches and curves, and the MM for the mountains and rivers that run through it, the intuit. The water coming into the mountain to power the light with clean water and electricity perhaps, standing strong and compassionate 144, where water is the vehicle of emotional well-being. The dolphin, which broke down to do El Fayan. Do El Fayan, and remember L is the 11, the 6 lines down. And the Fayan, Phi, P-H-I, is that expansion and contraction. And doing the dance of Jesus with the lowercase n is a code Jesus for me. And again, the icosahedron coming up. And icosa means I matter. And I put the puzzle pieces together that others may not see is literally icosahedron. Again, the 20 faces and planes of existence, of interdimensional identities. Source backing up 2 of those, perhaps Mary Magdalene and Jesus, our template, with both sides of the situation, if they promise to come together on this. One thing, because kosa also means thing. I am a thing. 144, smushed together again, is 3 lines down with 1 line across the middle. Or it becomes 2 H's, which H's become 2 8s, because H is 8. Or 2 E's, because the E is then the rolling stone of the E plus 3, or the M and W's, the rolling stone to break things on, which that device also came up. The energetic exchange of the mountains and the waves, the 2's that go together, thus the 22 of this year, or the Z's and the N's, which is another rolling stone, of Zion and Christ consciousness, or the A's and the N's, the oxygen and the ether, or either, the water powering up the Queen of Cups' etheric body and connection, her chakra system, surprising God with her epiphanies at 153 and 154, the Knight of Swords and the Page of Swords, with lots of messages going into the 155 on the next page of the truth, the Excalibur, the sword. And the sun god Ra of Shak Ra, the dragon fire or fire dragons of strength, the Lemurians and the Atlanteans, with the Queen of Cups' light body in the middle between the Lemurians and the Atlanteans. Midday, Coming up is 3 p.m. And isn't that the time that Christ died? I believe there's a significant time of 3 p.m. there. The dolphins and the dragons, under the sea and under the land. The Lemurians or the Moos, the void and the Om, A-U-M and space, the purple moon, walking away and within, the Queen of Cups, light body, reflecting in the sunset. Remember, sun is Ra, the sun god, of compassion, where you are held lovingly, and the aqua gold rose heart of the divine masculine's mother's love of relationships and harmony, the golden mean, and the heart to heart of what love means at 1:59, which is the magician, and the 11th hour at 59 is the last minute before the hour. It's also the Five of Swords, the war within, that becomes the war without. The life bulb, or the shell in the womb, being greater than or equal to 90 degrees, the 98 degrees to be exact. The Page of Wands, inspired by self-love and nurture in their one of four corners of the world. The 45th parallel then comes up, which runs across Maine, Vermont, New York, and Toronto, perhaps. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, and the top of Oregon as well. And then I was just looking up some different parallels to see, because like I said, the four corners of the world yesterday, as if you put a ball inside a box, there is room left in the corners. You can imagine that. And that room left is showing you where it's an ideal place for humans to live, right? Not at the North Pole or South Pole, and not at the equator either, but halfway in between, which is the 45-degree parallel. But it's not just the 1 degree, right? There's a range there that's actually best for humans to live in, which is where we live mostly. So, and of course, DC is on the 38th parallel by a longitude of 77, which is the sovereignty of the Queen of Cups, the Mary Magdalene, and the Statue of Liberty. And of course, our birthday being in July, which is Cancer energy of the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, her sovereignty, the wisdom of research and Akashic records, the shell in the womb, and the rose in the heart womb. And then the Irish knot was coming up as the 3 circles, because the shell is literally the shape of the Irish knot without the knot in it, right? Because the Irish knot is 3 circles together, and this shape here is the shell shape, right? It's the right angle with the circle around it. So if you take out the knot in the middle, which you normally focus on, you have the shape of the shell. The Irish knot and the shell at the 90-degree angle is 1/4 of the world, right? It's that quarter of the world, is part of the circle out of the knot. From the point of creation, right, which is the middle of the circle, the center point. The angle to use the shell as an instrument in a wake-up call to alignment, to listen and take note about the parallels. And again, the 11 is alignment. And the 6 degrees of separation. So perhaps 45 degrees is the best place for us to be, but maybe that range is 39 to 51, which is the Knight of Cups to the King of Swords, which brings in the masculine. And it was interesting too, because my soul number is 38 and my life lesson number is 44, which is the 6 degrees of separation there. But it's also coming up as DC to the edge of Canada, basically. So I was just playing with some of the degrees. By the way, Atlanta is 33 degrees, 44, 55 inches. 33, 44, 55. So that was pretty cool. So again, Thanksgiving every day with synchronicities and the abundant universe that we're in. The King of Swords with purity and innocence, to communicate freedom, speaking your truth as the message in the bottle that you are. Go with the flow, 1 to 1, which is the 11 of alignment with the dash showing the space between, just like the L is between the deck or the end of the deck and the T of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do before the beginning of do. So L is the space between, which is the 11, which is the 6 lines down, which is also the EE, which is the 1 being equal and congruent to the other that's 1 and equal and congruent, standing side by side, the 2 sovereigns. The 11 alignment and the space between, as well as the whispering bench. Paddle on, 2 of Cups, Queen of Cups, and the King of Swords together. the sword and the stone, the purple moon, the silver warrior of light, union and home in deep waters. Dance and lead the way with flame in hand to the holy land of the Grail, which is God's rail, of orange to gold, the orangutan connection, stretch and lunge, the Queen of Wands to connect and attune. And again, they keep bringing up stretching is really important here. And then Borneo Island was coming up again, where I said they were telling me is where the illuminated plant or mushroom was coming up. So that was coming up again. So I looked up to see what the latitude and longitude was for Borneo Island, and it's on the equator. It's 0 north, and then 114 degrees east longitude. Yeah. So 77 longitude, is along the East Coast. It goes through Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, D.C., and New York. And Nat's here to say hi, that you're unforgettable. So there was my message for you guys. I'm going to pull you some cards here too. So don't forget, it's all about Mary Magdalene this year. July 22nd for Feast Day in the year of 2022. And this message came through at 1:22. And we got one, look at this page. I didn't even notice that before. 1:22, 1:33, 1:44. And then I turned the page, it was 1:55. How crazy is that? And I just brought that up with Atlanta too, so significant too, because the guide stones are in Atlanta. So let's see what comes up. All right. Let's try again with my Shaman Dreams deck. I hope that wasn't too confusing for you, but you can look at that website that I told you about if you want to read more specifically the information. And I told you about one section about the Amour, but there's lots of other sections about the south of France. The Knights Templar, all that kind of stuff is there. All right, so what is our message and taking away from all this? Take another deep breath. Okay, the covenant, the sacred contract. Look at that, and the 7. Our sacred covenant. And it's a blank page. It's for you to write it exactly the way you want it. And look, it's the scroll. The scroll work. So it's confirming that, the scrolls were not fakes written by the priory, but actually the ancient scripts passed on from Jesus and Mary Magdalene. What else is in here? And you notice the patterns on the floor too. Something from that might come up for you. So the broken seals of the scrolls and the deep quiet of meditation and stillness of the 11 of alignment. And there's 7-11 for you. And notice that the 7 is the upside down L. And I know that 7's not at a right angle, but that's okay. Because we talk about the right angles, but then we also talk about the fact that no lines are straight. So it would become a curve, and then the angles would change anyway. And becomes more like a star, as opposed to a square. 7-Eleven is a convenience store. The sacred contract, deep quiet, meditation and stillness. And there's the hand again. The hand came up yesterday. It's very significant. The hand being reached out. And the violet flame is coming up here too. Anyway, it's really calling us to go deep within regarding our contract here. And there's the 55. I just told you the 122, 33, 44, 55. And here is 11 and 55, along with 7. It says the farther gate, but in Irish it could be the father gate. The bold step forward. And we talked about the gate holders. So it's like bringing up all of the messages from, here, let's see what else is coming. There's some more cards that want to be seen. The bottom of the deck is the crown games. That's funny because I was getting what I wrote down yesterday or today. Instead of Dungeons and Dragons, it was something else and Dragons. Right, oh, Dolphins and Dragons instead of Dungeons and Dragons. And crown games coming up here. The right use of power is the underlying energy here. And there's the 8 of the dance between the masculine and feminine. And the 8 of the infinity, of course, the never-ending flow of the flower. And the crown games. And she also came up as a game hen, right? A feminine who plays the game with the fish, which is Jesus. The crown games, the right use of power. That was the underlying energy. And again, the contract is for you to fill in with the right use of power, using your Mary Magdalene wisdom in the deep quiet of meditation and stillness. And the farther gate, the etheric gate holder, the 5D gate holder, as opposed to the 3D of the masculine, in the bold step forward to let the sun shine in. Oh, that's so cool. In the church in the south of France, there's a hole above the door, a window, and you can stand like literally in the light. I have a picture of myself in that light, actually. So that's what's coming up here. It looks like a key into the cave as well, because I was in the Mary Magdalene cave. So there's a lot of Mary Magdalene energy coming up here for sure. And there's a gate there. The farther gate, the bold step forward. And there's a few more cards here I want to be seen. The whale song comes up too, the whale in the bubble, which is so weird. Because not only are the whales balancing our energies on this planet, they're very significant to our survival here. And there's the glowing mushroom there, which also came up. But also, there was Michael Salla and Elena Denon were just talking about, I forget the guy's name, who experienced, when they went back to rescue from a trip to the moon, the Indian group that was there with them, they came across a room where there was this bubble hovering in the room with 15 soldiers in it that were drowning, and they literally pulled them all out of the bubble. So this is exactly the bubble that they were talking about. Okay, so they pulled 15 soldiers out of the bubble to rescue them, and that was really their mission, coming there to rescue them, because they were just sent through a portal. So that was very interesting. And then I just heard about some soldiers, like Green Berets type of thing, you know, dying in some kind of initiation. But I was thinking maybe one of the soldiers actually died in this portal, or coming back from that, because maybe they got water in their lungs or something like that. I don't know why it made me think of that, but I did. So this is coming up as well. Overflow, overwhelm, and plenty of the 43 of coming together, which again is, you know, you might notice in coming together with family or friends, it maybe was a lot of abundance and good things, but you need a break now. Resonating with whale sounds, perhaps I was listening to dolphin and whales yesterday when I came home. The 61 is the taking a risk energy, that card, and then to come together in the overwhelm of plenty. And there's the hand again. I just brought up the hand with the heart in it. The 31 is the expansion, the conflict, but also the pursuit of happiness in games, knowing how to play the game. In the hand, the universe is your partner if you know how to play the game. And the crossing, initiation, as I just talked about initiation. The 54 of the Page of Swords, right? The bridging the two sides, the initiation. And I just talked about thinking that the soldier who died from an initiation was actually, he'd probably died from crossing that portal, and was one of the soldiers who they pulled out of the bubble, who didn't make it. That's so crazy. All right, let's see here. Let's see what comes from the Animal Spirit deck. So the Queen of Cups and then the King of Swords came up here, and then at the end, these were kind of extra cards. The Queen of Wands comes up here, reminding you to stretch and release that energy. Okay, we have the Otter, the innocent child. This always reminds me of the 2-year-old, that pure energy, that they're always balanced and curious, right? Because they don't have no expectations. There's no wounds for them to worry about. I mean, they have them probably in their etheric energy, but they haven't gained any from this lifetime yet. And then here we have the fish. So it's kind of like that lamb and the fish energies, this Jesus energy of purity. And again, the fish struggling in the dark. I keep getting a lot of dark energy coming up from the bottom of the ocean. And the fish and the whales are struggling, right? Because there's this dark root energy here. A wound at the bottom of the sea. And there's the otter, you know, who plays in and out of the water, kind of curious as to what the heck's going on with those fish over there. And look, they're all such young energy. The bunny rabbit, this is very fresh, young energy here. And the bunny's always scared. The otter's not. They're curious about everything, might get themselves into trouble. But the rabbit's going to bring in trouble because they're always in fear. And they may be rubbing the fish the wrong way. And then there's the eagle coming in to trigger, but defending the young ones here. And there's the wolf, who can't believe what they see. And then there's the mouse on the other side of him, right? He's got no control of them anymore. As the truth comes out here. The black egg is the throat chakra. The bottom of the deck is the turtle again, right? The one who's slow, who can't keep up and is saying, go ahead without me. I'm trying to, you know, traverse this dark energy and I'm struggling here. And there's the hyena again, all right? Go on without me. I can't keep up with you. And these are all these young kids. They're all kind of excited to learn something new, but it's triggering the wolf, right? Because the wolf is the pack leader, and they need to learn to step back and allow the pack to be sovereign. So they're either, they got caught, they got triggered, or they're stunned, they can't believe what they're seeing, whatever it is. It has to do with the leader and the kids. You know, this could be a teacher in a classroom too. And this could be that, you know, the kids are triggering the crap out of the teacher here. Like that could be a parent or whatever, but you see the energy. And this one's always nervous, but he's got good energy. He's just a little guy, so it's hard for him to transmute that dark energy. But the wolf has half his area cleared. He's a good guy. He just can't tell everybody what to do anymore because they're being sovereign. So he's getting triggered. And the bunny's kind of nervous about that because the bunny doesn't know how wolf will react if eagle triggers the wolf. And this one's all over the place. And this one's, what's going on, you guys? Like, they're really well balanced. So it's just like a variety of different young energies there. And trying to figure out how we do this. And kids all over the place too. Or all kids having different interests, and how do we do this if we're not teaching all the same thing to all of the kids? How are we going to, it's like pushing us to find new ways of how we're going to educate our children, is what I'm getting. All right, so let's do the journey of love, and then we'll call it a night. As it's 8:38 on the clock of the dance of Mary Magdalene, the Queen of Cups. And that's reiterating July 22nd, which I don't know if that's actually Leo or Cancer, but we're referencing a lot of Cancer energies today, so we're going with that. But there could be Leo in there too, because we have the Queen of Wands here as well. Okay, from the journey of love. Again, this was the same one as yesterday, devotion to the small. Again, the kids and the pets, the innocent and vulnerable, the flowers, they're all coming up. The 32, the journey of enjoying the journey, right? The little things along the way. And again, the heart of God. Same ones that came up yesterday. And the acceptance, exactly the same. I guess you didn't learn the lesson yesterday because they're giving you exactly the same cards today. from the ancient ones. There's that Mary Magdalene energy, the 52, the Queen of Swords, the ancient ones. So now she's representing herself as the Queen of Swords, as all the queens. And then the next one is she is the moon. Okay, so same as yesterday's, the feminine energy taking care of the little ones. And then the ancient ones coming in, the Queen of Swords with the light, collecting the energy to pass on the light, that she is the moon, right? And the Shokugure bringing the power here to the center point of 0 point in the now moment. And there is the 14 of that higher love and being light as a feather, to keep it light and easy. Because when the feather falls, nothing hurts. Because it's already light, it doesn't get hurt. Like the Christ flame. And there's the innocent, sweet soul rising. There's the 20. Okay. And then today's date, the 12, the self-initiation. This is the cover of the deck. So we're stopping right there. The bottom of the deck here is the 50 of the 10 of Cups. Emotional fulfillment of the family, happiness, the cloak, feeling covered like in a blanket of your family. So you always feel good wherever you are, because you are always connected to everyone. The burning hero of the Christ energy, but also the earth and the mother, right? Thinking about the mother and their connection as the masculine and all that she's done and what she understands. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's all about the Mary Magdalene and then being light as a feather in the fall, and the higher love and of the Christ flame, of expanding without pain into your innocence of sweet soul rising, of the 2, of being 2 as 1 with source energy backing you up, into self-initiation, right? Not being codependent on each other, right? Helping each other out, but not being codependent on each other. And so if you don't expect things from other people, you won't get mad at them for not doing what you expected them to do. Self-initiation into the 12 of wisdom, of seeing new perspectives. But again, the first card out was the devotion to the small. So the first animal card out today was my little otter friend. I love the little otter. He's so cute. Otter. The otter's unobstructed joy, playfulness, and contentment. Perhaps the most joyful creature within the animal spirit deck, the otter represents absolute bliss. The otter energy is the playfulness of the child, available to us at any age. They have a giddiness and a reverence for life itself, without the presence of doubt or worry or skepticism. Imagine yourself with a little more otter energy. What would life look like? What would it take to bring you there? The otter card begs these questions and wants to transport us to that precious place as soon as possible. The celebration awaits. When they're in balance, they're full of love and they need nothing. When they're out of balance, they're gloomy and sigh and make silly excuses. To bring back into balance, a dance party or celebration. So if someone's looking for what to do with the kids, that's what they're saying would be good for them and for you as well. And then 32, I'm not going to read 32 again because I read it yesterday. I'm going to read the next one, the Heart of God, 9. You are part of something profound, a divine calling and privilege. It's the role of the inspiratrix or inspirator upon this earth, the women and men who have hearts capable of bliss. Bliss is what we feel when we let God in. The heart opens and we cannot speak for the sensation of it. It cannot be described. Great hearts can tolerate mystery. They can bear the enormity of divine bliss, beyond analysis and description, and simply be. And again, that references being that light as a feather. You don't have to do anything with it, you see. To be the inspiration is to have an open heart to the divine. It's a life calling. Your heart is an inspirational force to be loved, recognized, and protected for the precious catalyst of divine awakening that it is. Be led by your heart. God is in it, speaking through it, calling you forth to love, and the love that flows through your heart filters out through your toes, dripping on those beneath you as stars falling from heaven. This oracle holds a message for you, direct from the divine. You have a sacred purpose to fulfill upon this earth, and it's all sorted out. The situation, this issue, this awakening that you seek and are living even now, is held lovingly in the hands of the divine creator. The creator says to you, leave it with me. It's all unfolding in perfection. I am alive in your heart. I am your heart. And the poem reads, when souls are touched with love sublime and hearts unleash the wonder found, a promise made somewhere in time of words that speak without a sound. In gratitude we transcend space and bless the gifts we now can keep, of thoughts caress and soft embrace, and eyes allowed in joy to weep. The moment's song that we compose will leave this life with no regret, and carry forth what we impose to chart again a course once set. For what we have is ours to own, each breath a step we measure sweet. Together now we wait alone, and walk in peace, our hearts complete. So there you go. I'm having a little trouble getting my words out now. I'm sure it has something to do with Mercury, but thank you for bearing with me. And I invite you to drink your water, get your rest, or join your nature, and be childlike this week and always. Remember to stay open. There's no worries. Just one step at a time. Just stay right in this day today and enjoy every moment as much as you can. And when you need to cry, cry. And then come back to that present moment again. Rise and be love, you guys. It's 1616. There's the number 16 again about the tower and sudden events, but also epiphanies and sexual exchange. So let's see what happens, guys. Rise and be love. I'll see you guys soon. Have an amazing day. Breathe.